Ever dreamed of striking it rich? I mean, really rich.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're diving into a potential gold mine,
All right.
but not the kind you'd find, buried underground.
Okay.
We're talking asteroid mining.
That's right. We're going to be exploring the feasibility of extracting, valuable resources from asteroids.
Our source materials is an article titled "How Asteroid Mining Can Mint the First Trillionaire." Pretty bold claim, would you say?
It certainly is, but that's exactly what makes this topic so fascinating. It really begs the question, could asteroid mining really create that level of wealth?
And if so, how? And why are we even considering this? I mean, is it just about getting rich, or are there other motivations driving this cosmic gold rush?
Well, one key factor is the depletion of resources here on Earth.
Yeah, I've heard that before, but how serious is this problem, really?
It's more than just a problem. It's a looming crisis. The demand for crucial materials like platinum, which is vital for catalytic converters in vehicles, is projected to far outstrip supply in the coming decades. And platinum is just one example. We're talking about shortages and rare earth elements,
Okay.
essential for everything from smartphones to renewable energy technology.
So we're not just talking about inconvenience here, we're talking about potentially crippling our technological progress.
Exactly. And that's where asteroids come in. They're essentially giant untapped reservoirs of these critical materials just floating out there in space.
Like finding a cosmic supply depot stocked with everything we need to keep our technological civilization running.
Mm-hmm.
But how realistic is it to actually mine these asteroids? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
Well, science fiction often has a way of becoming science fact. And while it's true that asteroid mining presents immense technological challenges, we're already seeing significant advancements in the field.
For example,
Take the Hayabusa 2 mission by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXL. They successfully landed a spacecraft on an asteroid, collected samples, and brought them back to Earth.
so it's not just a theoretical possibility, it's actually been done.
Precisely. And that mission was just the beginning. There are multiple initiatives underway, both by government agencies like NASA and private companies like Planetary Resources and Deep Space Industries,
Wow.
all pushing the boundaries of what's possible in asteroid mining.
It's like a new space race is heating up with everyone vying for a piece of this cosmic pie. But before we get too caught up in the who's who of asteroid wiring, let's step back and explore the why. You mentioned resource depletion, but are there other motivations driving this venture?
Absolutely. One of the most compelling arguments for asteroid mining is its potential to fuel our ambitions for space exploration.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, imagine being able to extract water from asteroids. That water could be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen, which are the basic components of rocket fuel.
So we could essentially set up cosmic gas stations, allowing us to refuel spacecraft in space. That would revolutionize space travel, wouldn't it?
Exactly. It would make long-duration missions far more feasible and cost-effective.
We could travel further, explore more, and potentially even establish permanent settlements beyond Earth.
Precisely. And it's not just about fuel. Asteroids could also provide the building blocks for constructing habitats, research outposts, and even entire space stations, all using materials harvested in space.
That's incredible. It's like we're talking about building a whole new civilization among the stars.
It's certainly a bold vision, and one that's becoming increasingly within reach thanks to advancements in robotics, artificial intelligence, and 3D printing, all of which are essential for operating in the harsh environment of space.
But let's not forget about the scientific potential of asteroid mining. I mean, these asteroids are like time capsules holding clues about the early solar system, right?
That's right. Analyzing asteroid composition could provide invaluable insights into the formation of planets and the origins of life itself.
So it's not just about extracting resources, it's also about unlocking scientific knowledge that could fundamentally change our understanding of the universe and our place within it.
And who knows, we might even discover evidence of past or present life beyond Earth.
Now that would be a game changer.
It certainly would. But before we get too carried away with dreams of alien fossils and space cities, it's important to acknowledge the significant challenges ahead.
Right. I was just thinking that it all sounds very exciting, but how do we actually get from here to there?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so we've established that asteroid mining has the potential to, solve some major problems here on Earth and open up incredible possibilities for space exploration. But let's get down to the nuts and bolts. How do we actually go about mining an asteroid? I mean, it's not like we can just send up a bunch of guys with pickaxes and shovels, right?
Right. You're right to laugh. It's a bit more complicated than that. It's a multi-stage process that starts with finding the right asteroid. Not all asteroids are created equal.
So it's like finding a needle in a cosmic haystack.
In a way, yes. We'd be looking for asteroids rich in the materials we need, with orbits that are relatively easy to reach and compositions that are suitable for extraction. Companies like Planetary Resources are developing specialized probes equipped with advanced sensors to analyze the composition of asteroids and identify potential targets.
It's like a cosmic treasure hunt. But once we've found our asteroid, how do we get there? Space is a pretty big place.
That's one of the biggest challenges, no doubt. We're talking about vast distances and a harsh environment. Spacecraft would need to be designed to withstand extreme temperatures, radiation, and the constant bombardment of micrometeoroids.
So it's like designing a car that can drive through a volcano, a blizzard, and a meteor shower all at the same time. Sounds like a tough engineering challenge.
It is, but not insurmountable. And once we reach the asteroid, the next hurdle is securing the spacecraft to it.
Yeah, I can imagine trying to land on a giant spinning rock in the vacuum of space is no walk in the park.
You're absolutely right. It would likely involve advanced grappling systems, anchoring mechanisms, or even techniques to gently nudge the asteroid into a more stable orbit.
Okay, and then comes the actual mining, right? What are some of the methods being considered for extracting resources from these asteroids?
Well, there are several approaches, each with its pros and cons. One method is surface mining, which would involve using robotic equipment to excavate materials directly from the asteroid's surface. This is a good option for asteroids with relatively shallow deposits.
Okay, so for asteroids with deeper, more challenging deposits, what are the options?
That's where things get even more interesting. We could use techniques like shaft mining, where tunnels or shafts are dug into the asteroid to access deeper deposits. Or we could explore in situ resource utilization, ISRU, which essentially means using the resources directly on the asteroid.
ISRU, huh? That sounds pretty sci-fi. What exactly does that entail?
It could involve setting up processing facilities directly on the asteroid, perhaps to extract water for fuel production, or to use 3D printing to create structures using the asteroid's own materials.
Wow, so we're talking about building factories in space using asteroid materials to create more spacecraft habitats and even fuel.
Exactly. The possibilities are truly mind-boggling. Another idea is to capture smaller asteroids and bring them closer to Earth, perhaps into a stable orbit around the Moon.
Ah, yes, those space tugs we mentioned earlier. Essentially, we'd been wrangling these asteroids into a more convenient location for mining.
Precisely. This approach could offer greater control over the mining process and reduce some of the risks associated with operating in deep space. Of course, it would require significant investment to develop the necessary infrastructure.
It sounds like there's a whole ecosystem of technologies and approaches being developed for asteroid mining. It's not just one solution fits all. But with all this talk of extracting resources, I can't help but wonder about the potential environmental impact. Are we just going to be creating a cosmic mess?
That's a valid concern, and it's one that scientists and engineers are actively addressing. The key is to develop mining techniques that are as sustainable and minimally disruptive as possible.
So we need to be mindful of the potential consequences of our actions, just like we should be here on Earth. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the economics of asteroid mining. Who are the major players in this emerging industry, and who's going to foot the bill for all of this?
Well, as we mentioned, there are both government agencies and private companies involved in this space race. NASA, for instance, is actively researching and developing technologies for space resource utilization, including asteroid mining.
So it's not just private companies looking to make a cosmic buck.
Not at all. Governments see the strategic importance of securing access to space resources, both for economic and security reasons.
That makes sense. But on the private side, who are the big names in asteroid mining?
We've already mentioned planetary resources and deep space industries, both of which are making significant strides in developing the technologies and infrastructure for asteroid mining. They're attracting substantial investments from venture capitalists and even tech giants like Google.
It seems like there's a real sense of excitement and momentum building in the industry, but with so much money and potential at stake, I can't help but wonder about the legal and ethical implications.
You're touching on this very important point.
I mean, who owns these asteroids anyway? Is it a free-for-all? Are we just going to have a bunch of space cowboys staking their claims on celestial bodies?
It's not quite that simple. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967, which governs space activities, states that no nation can claim sovereignty over celestial bodies.
So no planting flags on asteroids and declaring them your own.
That's right, but the treaty doesn't explicitly address the issue of resource ownership. So there's a lot of debate and discussion happening right now about how to establish a legal framework for asteroid mining that is fair, sustainable, and benefits all of humanity.
It sounds like a complex legal puzzle trying to figure out who has the right to what in space.
It is, and it's one that we need to solve carefully. We need to ensure that asteroid mining doesn't become a new form of colonialism, where powerful nations or corporations exploit resources for their own benefit at the expense of others.
So it's about finding a balance between exploration and exploitation, innovation and responsibility.
Exactly. And it's not just about legal frameworks. We also need to consider the ethical implications of asteroid mining. For example, what are the potential risks to the space environment? How do we ensure that mining operations don't create hazardous debris fields or disrupt the delicate balance of our solar system.
It sounds like we're entering uncharted territory, both literally and figuratively. But with such immense potential and so many challenges to overcome, it's hard not to be fascinated by this whole endeavor.
I agree. It's a testament to human ingenuity, our drive to explore, and our desire to solve problems and create a better future.
It's a cosmic adventure with implications that could reach far beyond our planet. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. We've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive into asteroid mining, from the technical challenges to the economic possibilities and even the ethical dilemmas. But now let's turn our attention to the future. What kind of impact could asteroid mining have on humanity in the long run?
Well, that's the question that keeps me up at night. The possibilities are truly mind-boggling. Imagine a world where we have access to a virtually limitless supply of resources, not just for our needs here on Earth, but for expanding our presence in space.
It's like the saying goes, the sky's the limit, but in this case, it's more like space is the limit.
Exactly. We could build vast solar energy platforms in space, beaming clean energy back to Earth. We could construct sprawling space habitats, perhaps even terraforming planets, to make them habitable for humans.
Wow. We could have entire cities in space, maybe even with their own unique cultures and way of life. It's almost too much to wrap my head around.
It is extraordinary to think about, isn't it? But it's not just about grand visions of the future. Asteroid mining could also have a profound impact on our everyday lives, right here on Earth.
In what way?
Well, think about the cost of materials. If we can access abundant resources from asteroids, the price of everything from construction materials to electronics could plummet.
So we're talking about a potential economic revolution.
Potentially, yes. And not just in terms of cost. We could also see a surge in innovation as new materials and manufacturing processes become available.
So it's like opening up a whole new toolbox for inventors and engineers. Who knows what kind of amazing technologies we could create.
That's the beauty of it. We simply don't know what the future holds, but that's also what makes it so exciting. Of course, we need to be mindful of the potential downsides. The influx of new resources could disrupt existing industries and create economic upheaval if we're not careful.
Right. So we need to manage this transition thoughtfully and ensure that everyone benefits from this new era of abundance.
Absolutely. And we also need to be vigilant about the potential for exploitation. Just because resources are abundant in space doesn't mean we can take them for granted. We need to ensure the asteroid mining is conducted ethically and sustainably with respect for the environment and the rights of future generations.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act, weighing the potential benefits against the risks.
It is. But I believe that humanity is up to the challenge. We have a remarkable track record of solving complex problems and adapting to new circumstances. And I have no doubt that we'll find ways to harness the incredible potential of asteroid mining while mitigating the risks.
So it's a journey that will require collaboration, innovation, and a sense of shared purpose, but the rewards could be truly transformative.
It's a chance to not only secure our future here on Earth, but to expand our horizons and become a truly spacefaring civilization.
A civilization that reaches for the stars and embraces the challenges and opportunities that lie beyond our planet.
And perhaps in doing so, we'll discover that the greatest treasures we find in space are not the material resources, but the knowledge, the inspiration, and the sense of wonder that come from exploring the unknown.
Well said. As we wrap up our deep dive into asteroid mining, I can't help but feel a sense of awe and excitement about the future that we're creating. It's a future full of challenges, yes, but also brimming with possibilities. Who knows, maybe one day we'll all be living on giant space rocks looking back at Earth and marveling at how far we've come. Until then, keep looking up and keep dreaming big. 7-18.